Hi, welcome to TEC Bike Parts again. Today I'm going to be showing you how you fit our adjustable foot peg system and alloy gear and brake levers to the Royal Enfield Interceptor 650. These are available in all black or silver, and the levers and pegs are multi-adjustable. Now the standard pegs come with 20mm adjustment range, and that'll probably be enough for most people, but we do a longer range adjustment link that offers you 40mm adjustment in all directions. The standard pegs have 20mm adjustment in all ranges via this little machined peg that rotates on the fixing quadrant, and then the peg screws onto that, and again that's indexed with machined notches either side. So I'll show you better when we fit them on the bike what sort of range you have, but 40mm adjustment in every direction is quite a lot on a foot peg system. Now obviously you can't use 40mm adjustment without having some sort of adjustment on the levers as well. So we've designed some really neat levers to upgrade the steel items that are on the bike, which I was never particularly happy with. And the levers are all alloy CNC machined. And as you can see from the end on the brake lever, it has 3 mounting positions for the tip. So you've got a wide range of reach on the peg there for people with short, long feet, and to accommodate the wide adjustment on the peg there. Now on the brake lever we actually supply it with 2 tips because we felt that the standard single tip wasn't quite big enough for catching with your foot, and your foot sometimes missed it or slipped off. So we've made them slightly wider and given you the option of using 2 tips to give you a much broader pad, and also puts less pressure on your foot if you don't have thick boots on. So that should pretty much cure the issues. And compared to the steel lever, it is quite a complex lever mechanism we've made, but even though it's big and bulky looking, it's actually lighter than the steel one. The gear lever has even more adjustment range on it because you need a bit more of a fine adjustment on the lever. So the lever has 2 mounting holes, but then it also comes with an extender plate. Now this serves 2 purposes. It actually gives you 6 position adjustment on the gear lever, but it also offsets the gear lever outwards slightly, because in the longest forward adjustment it actually needs to come out slightly to clear the casing. Otherwise it may catch the casing. So it actually steps it out about 10mm to give you that bit extra clearance. But again, we'll show you this when we come to fit them on the bike. So we'll start off with the left-hand gear change side. Now we have had lots of issues with the way that Royal Enfield manufacture the frames, particularly these mountings. They tend to be out of alignment quite a bit, and we did do a video on how to correct that by fitting these wedge washers like this bike has on, because normally you've got a gap here that you can get your finger in, which does not look nice, and it makes the foot peg and gear lever stick out. So this one's been corrected. It's in nice and tight to the frame there with these washers. And if you want to see more details on that, the link for the video is going to come up on the screen now. But I'll not bore you with doing all that again. So first of all, we take the peg off. Now you can do this side without actually taking the hanger off. I'm going to show you how to do it like that, but you may find if this has been loctated on really, the pivot pin for the gear lever has been loctated on really quite tight, you may need to take it off because that access is a little bit restricted. But first of all you need to take the split pin out of the peg, push the pin out, and just put your thumb over the spring so it doesn't pop out and lose it. I'm actually going to fit the new peg now. Well, I've got that off. Now that's the 2 options you have. As you can see, that's the standard supplied one, which gives you a 20mm adjustment range, and that's the 40mm adjustment range. I'm actually going to just fit the 20mm adjustment range for now, because that's what I normally run the bike at. So if you offer the peg up, and you need to locate the straight edge of the spring into the hole in the footrest hanger. Now, I find it easier if I use a screwdriver, a Phillips screwdriver from below, just to locate everything in there. So with this footrest fitted on there and the spring in, just try it in a few positions at first. So just nip these up until you're happy with all the positions. These are two different sized Allen keys. Obviously you need to rotate this to get it where you want it. Just take those to all the positions you feel that you'd be happy with. When you're really happy with them, take the screws back out again and Loctite them. Now that's very important because you don't want these coming loose. I'll put the torque settings on the screen, but you must use some blue Loctite on them to stop them coming loose. So you need to loosen off the M6 fitting with two 10mm spanners. Now the pivot is held in from the back with an M6 Allen key. Now you can either use a cut down Allen key, or what I tend to use is just a little Allen key socket in there with a 6mm spanner on it. Now if it's not too tight, like this one's been on and off a few times, if it's not too tight you'll be okay, but if it's got a lot of Loctite on, you may need to take the hanger off and use a long Allen key on, which you're a bit tight for getting in here. So unless you're prepared to cut an Allen key down shorter, you're going to need to take it off. But this saves you having to take all the hanger off and reset it all up again, if you can get away with it. So your pivot pin just screws out like that. Now what I would suggest before you put your gear lever on, because it's got a bushing in here, and sometimes the bushing when it's been pressed in hasn't been seated correctly, is just check the fit. And that one is fine. Most of the ones I've tried have been fine, but you do sometimes when you push a bushing in, it just is a little on the tight side. So if it is, just put it in and tap it on that edge with a hammer all the way around both sides gently. You don't have to hit it hard, just so it settles the bush in the housing. See, I haven't come across one yet, but it is good practice if it's tight to do that. Now you obviously need to put some grease on there for lubrication, and a drop of Loctite on the threads there before you put it in. Make sure you only use a small amount of Loctite because you don't want it getting on the pivot and making it tight. But I'm not going to do that now because I'm going to be messing about with this yet. So I'll show you without Loctite or grease. Now what you need to do is just locate that into the hole first, because you can't get it in once you've got the bolt in. Also, before you fit the gear lever, I forgot to mention, you have got two different settings here. You can get in with an Allen key to move these from behind, and if you're going to go for the long system you may need to bolt this on, or if you want it very short and you're using like a rear set system, you may want it in this way, and this will give you two pin positions back over and two pin positions forward. And as you can see, because it offsets it, it just clears the casing there. You can always, if you feel you want to be a little bit further, just put a couple of washers between and pack it out a little bit more. But you're normally fine with just it like that. It's not tight yet. So we'll just nip all that up. Obviously, depending on where you're having this foot peg, or if you're having the foot peg system quite a bit further forward, you may need to adjust this. You can also adjust the height of it on this linkage here by slackening these two nuts and rotating it, and that'll pull it either up or down. So as you can see, it's a nice free action, but there's there's virtually no free play in there because of the bushing, and if you keep it well greased and lubricated, you shouldn't really get any play. It's actually a much less play than the standard bushing in these ones. The tolerance is not great on these. We've built them to a much finer tolerance. So you've got lots of adjustment there. I think we've addressed all the issues with the foot pegs by getting them in, the looks of them, and the multi-adjustment that's in there now. It should be, most people should be able to get them to a position that they're quite happy with. I'll just show it with a 40mm adjustment on before we finish on this side. So there you go, it gives you plenty of clearance. Even in the rear position, it's been designed so it clears the mounting. So you've got no clearance issues, and you can see you've got a massive range of adjustment. You should be able to find a position that suits you. The most thing we get asked for is something to bring the pegs down or forward or both, and this obviously addresses it. Now, another interesting fact, that there is other plate dropping systems on the market that you can get that will either move the foot pegs back or forward or down, but the adjustment range on this is 20mm maximum because of the fact that the linkages and the brake hoses and pipes will only allow you to go sort of 20mm maximum. But we have designed it so you can use these in conjunction with the pegs. So you can, even with these, you can still go another 20mm either down, forward or back if you use a hanger plate adjustment system like this. So it is really, really versatile. But we'll move on now and we'll show you on the other side what it's like to do on there. Again, it's fairly straightforward. Right, so I've already removed the standard foot peg, and I've partially built up the peg there just to put it in and show you how to do it. It's the same as the other side. Basically you offer it up, pop your spring in there, and it's a bit of a jiggle on to get it in place. So that's your peg installed, but on this side you're actually going to have to pull the footrest hanger off just so you can get into the brake pedal. So actually on this bike I've upgraded it to stainless Allen bolts, but on your bike, if you haven't done that, these will just be off with a spanner. I've already cracked these off. Don't need to worry about your pipes and that, because you're only loosening this off to pull it out of the way slightly to get access. So you need to take your split pin out of your clevis pin on your braking master cylinder there. Just flip it over. See, I've already cracked this off, but it's just the same as the gear lever side. It's got a pivot mounting pin. And just unscrew that and hook your spring off. Okay, so again, check your pin to make sure that's nice and free in there. Pop some grease on it. Just general purpose grease is fine. But you also need to hook your brake return spring onto the little bolt. Slide that over your clevis. You actually pop your spring on first, the easiest way. And slide it up into position. Make sure that it goes up in between the clevis on the... And again, you should have put some Loctite on there. I'm probably taking these straight off again because I'm still working on this bike. So I'm not using any Loctite or grease, but you will do. So you You tighten that up, pop your clevis pin back in, pop your split pin back in, and that's basically ready to off back up onto the bike now. Now, if you need to adjust the height, if you slacken these two lock nuts off here and rotate this either up or down, it'll take the pedal, the whole pedal assembly up and down. It doesn't actually have any stop adjustment on this bike. It's all done on the actual master cylinder travel. Hence the importance of having this return spring on here. Now, like the left side, the frame mounting for this footrest carrier is actually quite good. It didn't need any fine adjustment. And we normally find that on the right sides, they're not as bad as the left side welded on brackets. I think the guy on the left side either needs to swap to the right side welder or he needs the sack. And I've only got one tip on there, but if you want, you can actually use the two that are supplied if you want a broader place to get your foot onto. It also takes the look of a gear lever away on this side, and this is why we went for this two peg system. Also, with not being rubber like the standard ones are, when they get wet, this knurled surface gives you much better grip than wet rubber. Like I say, if you want to get this higher in relation to here, you simply extend this out a little bit. So that's them all fitted on the bike there. What I suggest is don't Loctite everything up until you're really happy with it. Take the bike for a ride, so you can change all your positions and get them exactly where you want them. Like I say, you've got multi-adjustment in most fields where you can take them to. When you're really happy where you want it, just take everything off, put a dot of Loctite on and do a final tighten on them, just to be safe. Obviously, foot pegs, it's important that they're a secure item for safety, and you don't want them coming loose on you. That's about it, apart from we have got a few other items that are new for the Interceptor and the Himalayan. We have made some specific 30mm CNC alloy bar risers. Now, I can't show you on this bike because we've got different fat bars on. These are designed to work with the standard handlebar clamps and mounts. They're really neat because the CNC machine out of billet aluminium and black anodized. Really easy to fit. We do some spacers that go under the standard mounts, but they're a little bit harder to fit because you've got to take the whole mounting off and take the bars off and that. Whereas this, you just literally lift the bars off, pop these in and pop the bars back on, and they're a really neat solution. Now, there is a lot of these on the market and you have to be careful. We've specially made these because the hole centres on Royal Enfields are different to most of the aftermarket types. You do get some which have got really large or slotted holes in, but that makes them look a bit sloppy. So we specifically made these for the Interceptor and the Himalaya with the correct hole space and the correct longer bolts to go in there, and it gives the bike a much more comfortable stance, particularly on the Himalaya where you tend to ride it standing up a lot, and if you don't have these fitted, most average height riders will find they're stooping forward, holding on to the bars, where these allow you, about 30mm is enough difference to make you allow you to stand up straight, and it stops you getting backache if you're riding a long time off-road. Another little item we've produced is some pretty versatile things. You can either use them on shock mountings, and we supply them with shorter bolts, dress-ups, or you can use them on the silencers as well. Again, they use those with the longer bolts supplied. They just give you a nice finish. They actually match the bar end caps that we do for the mirrors, and it just gives an integrated look to the bike. Not expensive, and just one of those little finishing touches on the bike. Another thing that we've been asked a lot for, mostly by European riders, but some other countries do have law requirements for mirrors. Doesn't seem to bother people in the UK so much, but there is actually a minimum requirement, is E-mark homologated mirrors for use in Europe. Now we've made these are the absolute minimum size that you can. You can see they're slightly larger than the type we make at the moment, but these technically won't get you through a test in Europe. So we've made these, which are the correct size. The fittings and everything are all exactly the same, it's just the mirror head's slightly larger. Again, all aluminium machined, fully aluminium components and stainless steel, and it has the E-approval and mark on them now as well. So those will be on the website now. And it's just something, like I say, we've been asked a lot for those, as there's no real low-cost alternative for those on the market. So that's all for now. We will be having a lot more parts coming out on this pretty soon. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Thanks a lot now. Bye.